welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to sew the basic skirt look. But first, if this is your first time here, I'd like to say welcome, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to give me a like, and don't forget to leave a comment below. Alright, so without much further ado, we're going straight into sewing. So the first thing I'm going to do is spread out my fabric that I'll be working with, and today I'm using a soft crepe fabric. This is the front of my skirt, the front pattern. So I'm just quickly going to make my annotations on this pattern. This is the center front, and we're going to be cutting it on fold. This simply means that the fabric will be folded like so. Alright, so the next step is to iron out your fabric. This is very important before you cut your pattern. Once you're done ironing, go ahead and pin the pattern to your fabric in preparation for cutting. So for this pattern, I'm going to be working with a 1 centimeter allowance all round, even along the hemline. Usually on the hem I leave about 3 centimeters, but since I'm not going to be wearing this skirt, I'm just going to go ahead and work with just 1 centimeter at the hem as well. That's my dart leg. I'm just making little snips to indicate where the dart legs will fall on my skirt, and then I'm cutting my hemline now. So once that's done, the next thing is to transfer the dart apex. We've already snipped the dart legs, so now it's just to transfer the apex for the dart to be complete. So you place your pin at the apex point and then put a chalk mark where the pin appears at the back. And then you lift up your pattern in front to also indicate where the pin appears. I hope you can see that. So you lift the back, mark where the pin appears, and then do the same thing underneath the paper. Once that's done, take out your pattern paper. So we successfully transferred the darts, but we'll have to rule the lines so they become visible when we're sewing. So I'm just connecting the apex to the dart legs, which I already snipped earlier. And that's it. So repeat the same thing for the other half of the front skirt. Turn it over and then join the apex to the 2 dart legs. Just using my chalk to make it visible so you can see what I'm working on. So that's it. Our darts have been transferred and our front skirt has been cut. So now we'll just repeat the same process for the back. The only difference really for the back is the center back, which is going to carry a zipper and a slit. So for that area you can use about 2 centimeters or 1 if you're comfortable working with 1. So you have to leave more seam allowance at the center back area, as you can see. The back is usually cut in 2 when it's going to have a zip at the back. So that's the center back I'm cutting now. I think that's about 2 centimeters allowance I left. Now I'm working on transferring the darts. So I'm repeating the exact same steps I carried out on the front. Now that our darts are done, of course the next thing to do is to sew the darts. So we're on the machine now. Starting in the front, I'm just going to sew out my darts, which is pretty easy. All you need to do is just fold the darts, the two dart legs, fold them to match, and then you sew it all the way down to the apex. That's the dart folded, and then you sew it along that line you already made up to the apex point. That's what it looks like in front, so I'm going to repeat the same step for the other dart. Our front is done. Next up is the back skirt. This is what it looks like. So now we're going to move to the back part of the skirts. I'm going to sew the darts. This is what your skirt should look like at this point, inside and outside. Right, so now that all our darts are in place, we should give it a nice press. But I think first of all, I'm just going to go ahead to join the center back. So what we'll do at this point is to place the right sides facing each other. So I'm using my chalk to indicate the wrong sides, and then I'm just going to turn that facing down and then place the right side of the other one facing the right side of the one that I flipped over, and then we're going to sew a straight line at the center back. But first, remember that we're going to have a zipper and a slit. So I'm just going to, even though I'm not going to be fixing a zipper in this video, I'm just putting into account the measurement for that. So I use 20 centimeters from the waistline downwards, and then for the slit, I'm also using 20 centimeters. You can use as much or as little as you want. Alright, so when you begin sewing, you're going to use a basting stitch up until the point where your zipper will stop, and then make a back stitch, and then change to your regular stitch up to the point where your slit begins, and then make a back stitch as well before sewing using a basting stitch all the way down. So I've changed my machine to a basting stitch. If you notice, I didn't back tack. I'm doing that now because I'm sewing the part which we're going to leave, and then a basting stitch all the way to the end. That's done. You give your skirt a nice press. Make sure to open your seams. Front and back has been ironed. Now we're just going to sew the sides. So we're sewing down both sides of the skirt. Once that's done, remember to open your seam and give it a nice press. That's what it looks like now that it's all done. The front of the skirt and then the back. There's just one thing left, to loosen the basting stitches we made for the zipper and the slit. So that's that. This is what it looks like on me. That's it for the basic skirt look. Thank you so much for watching.